Welcome back to the Outdoor Drive Podcast. This is your boy East Coast Trev, and
This is Steve.
good morning, Steve. How are you, Steve?
I'm all right, but it's 8 o'clock at night. So,
Oh, okay. Well, good evening, Steve. But if people would be listening to it, they could be listening to it in the morning, so it could be good morning.
well, that's very possible. I'll give
Hmm.
you that.
Weird. Well,
Yes,
welcome
we'll
back.
go with that.
We appreciate everybody who is tuning into us this week on the Outdoor Drive Podcast. Before we get underway, I just want to start off with a quick moment of silence. There's actually two. We actually lost a lot of people in the hunting community this week, or actually last week. Um, we'll start off with Chris Eberhardt. John Eberhardt's son has lost his battle with cancer. He's written a bunch of books and done a lot of things. So we want to take one moment of silence for him. And also want to take a moment of silence for the two that were lost in Tennessee at Reelfoot while waterfowl hunting, and they were shot by a 70-year-old man. So we take a moment of silence for them and bow our heads. So all their thoughts and prayers go out to their family. So we'll get the bad stuff out of the way and then we'll get on to some good positive stuff. But for all of you guys that are tuning in, we appreciate it. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have a podcast. If you guys could just give us a 5-star review on the podcast app, the Apple Podcast app. If you guys haven't already, go over to your YouTube page and like it, subscribe, notification it, and you know what? Give us a comment or review over there too. We'd really appreciate it. But so, what's up, Steve?
Just rolling along, man. Surviving
Nice.
these wonderful winter ice storms that we got coming through.
Yeah, what's going on down there?
Yeah, we just out of the blue had a real nice heavy freeze last night. Half an inch of ice everywhere.
Perfect.
Sometimes, just that perfect time with you almost need ice cleats to get across the lawn.
In Virginia.
It was a good one.
Hmm.
So
That's odd.
other than that, not a whole lot. Just working and waiting to quit seeing deer with horns.
Yeah, I knew you're telling me, man. Tons of shed hunting and just not really coming up with what I need to come up with. You know,
Yeah, I
just sucks. Seen a
cruised down
lot
the
of deer
road
with horns.
cruised down the road the other day and think I saw 7 bucks and 7 miles all still packing.
Ugh,
And I was like, come on, man. And one of them's right in a prime spot that I'm just waiting for.
such heartbreak. They'll lose them sooner than later, man. It's all good. Everyone's out there getting all tore up and wasted, and they're really just looking for sheds for no damn reason. And I love it. Get them all worn out and beat to shit until they actually hit the ground. So I'm good
Yeah.
for that. But
Yeah, I usually don't start traditionally looking for another week at the
mhm.
time this comes out. But I don't know. There were a couple flukes where some big deer dropped big horns real early this year. So
Yeah, and normally for me it's Valentine's Day, but now having the pup, I mean, I just got to run her as much as I possibly can and just hope that we find something that's already been on the ground, or I kind of put a dummy out there, or whatever the case may be, just to kind of get that training underway.
definitely. And she's coming along too, dude. She looks good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stupid little things, like kind of she's kind of working close. Kind of got to try and get her to push out, but it's just kind of security thing. Kind of doing a couple of different little things, like I'm throwing a ball or acting like I'm throwing a ball, and then having her try and find it. Stupid little things like that, just to try and get her away from me a little bit. She's been doing better every day. She's progressively getting better and better, but hopefully over time. I mean, it's not finding the bone. I mean, she finds plenty of bone. It's just, and it's not like she's not finding antlers, because I'm not finding antlers. So it's not like she's
Yeah,
missing anything,
right.
but
You can't find what's not there.
yeah. So, and it's not, it's so weird. Like you watch all these posts on the internet and everyone's like, oh yeah, I found last year's shed. I can't even find a bone. Not a bone. Not one fucking antler can I find. Whether old, new, this, that, and the other thing, just can't find it.
Yeah, but you're also up there in that squirrel patch. So you
It's just
probably don't have many leftovers from last year.
no. No, we never. Well, and the thing too. All right, so a lot of the areas I go into areas that you can't hunt right now, because I'm
Right.
not gonna go into my good woods and scout and do all that stuff until after all the horns are on the ground. Then I go in, I scout. and then I shed hunt all my good areas. So I don't want to push shit around, but that's just me. I'll go in all the areas that everybody else goes into now and try and find the horns, and then I'll go into my areas and then do all my scouting and stuff as the season goes on. But
Gotcha.
just my personal way of doing things. But we'll see what happens, man. We still got a little bit of waterfowl season left here. Got goose season, and then a little bit of that until the end of February, and then we've been doing really well, believe it or not. So we'll beat that up for a little bit, but I'd rather be in the woodshed hunting, to be honest with you. Try and finish
Yeah.
up all the euros, get the skulls back to everybody, and then get on our way.
Get that itch out of the way. Keep you occupied. Get prepped and in shape for turkey season.
Oh, I cannot wait.
It's
Cannot
coming,
wait.
man. It's coming quick.
It can't. I'm just we need to sit down and punch out a date for Virginia time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely work on it. So
Mm.
I know right now we're working tentatively to try to get Andrew to come up here and try to get him his first bird.
Oh,
So
awesome.
depending on his work schedule, I think is going to kind of create the date, I'll say.
Yeah, for sure. So
So-
Andrew, get your shit together. Let's go.
Yeah, he just called you
Enough
out
screwing
again,
around.
dude.
Enough screwing around. We got shit to do.
We got birds to kill.
Yeah, if you're not going to make it, we need to know. Just let's go. I don't get me all jacked up about turkeys. That's one thing I don't play around with is turkeys. I love turkey killing. I'm ready.
We got plenty to do.
Speaking of turkeys, have you seen the little ridge runner?
I have. They're coming along nicely.
I know. Mark keeps calling me. I was sleeping last night because he's a night owl and I am not. And he called me and he was playing that thing in my voicemail for a while. It sounded great. Very excited for that. And then he called me again today and I was in the shop and my hands were all nasty and then it came in podcasted. So I didn't call him back, but those things are coming along. Hopefully those will be out very soon. They sound very good. So if you guys want to check them out, go check them out at nor'eastergamecalls.com. They are to get them in close. Like how I did
Definitely.
that? Like
Yeah.
how I did that? That was
Nice
good.
little transition.
Weird. Also, the Berserker and the Battleman. If you guys haven't checked those out, go to wildedgeinc.com. Check those things out. They are the leader in mobile hunting. Check them out, wildedgeinc.com. Out on the Limb MFG.com. They have some new cool stuff out. You guys that are into the Shikar sticks, they actually came out with the FX series, which are actually a locked-in series where they don't actually, the foot pegs don't swivel. They're actually really badass. I'm a little torn on those if I want to buy a set of those or not. They kind of get a little nervous, but and then they came out with a new camera arm, kind of an upgrade of the Reach. So go and check them out. Out on limb mfg.com. Also the Broadside Camo, broadsidecamo.com. They are the photorealism camouflage. They do have some new stuff about to hit the market. But go and check them out, broadsidecamo.com. Also, Timber Tumblers. They are the custom tumblers for your needs of drinking. They're the shit. If you guys haven't checked them out, timbertumblers.com. You can also check them out on outdoordrive.com. Where's the Outdoor Drive?
No, Outdoor Drive pod or outdoordrive.com. I got to look. I would have to check and see. That's horrible.
That is
No,
really
we
bad.
don't even know our website name.
Oh my god.
I'm looking right
you gotta
now.
be kidding me. Why? Oh, it's outdoordrive.com.
Yeah, outdoordrive.com.
No, it's not. No, it's definitely not. It's the outdoordrive.com.
Yes.
The outdoordrive.com.
I'm
You can
looking
find
at
all
it
of
right
these
now.
things.
It is the
Jeez
Outdoor Drive.
Louise.
That's why I put it in the show notes.
Okay. It's in the show notes, guys. Go down there and you can see it down there. So also Wicked Twisted Bowstrings for all your custom bowstring needs, BCY and Bloodline series. Bloodline series, no, just Bloodline.
The Bloodline.
The
Yeah.
Bloodline.
I mean, I guess you could call it a series technically because
Yeah.
you either got BCY or Bloodline.
So check them out, wickedtwistedbowstrings.com. Also, is that all of them?
think so.
I'm bad at this. I'm doing all this from my head, so
Well,
leave me alone.
we went out of order, you know.
Yeah, we did. No, I normally play around with the order, but I'm pretty sure that I got them all. I'm bad at this. This sucks. I should be more intuitive of what's going on. That's a big word. It's a very big word for me. If you guys didn't know, very big word. But no, our podcast today is with your favorite Hooters waitress,
She's gonna love that.
former.
Well, no. She. What was the term? It wasn't a waitress. She was a trainer.
Oh yes, the corporate trainer.
She trained the waitress.
That's right. So your favorite former Hooters
trainer.
I guess. She'll like that. But anyways, we get to dive in a little bit of everything, and there will be a part 2 with her also because we very rarely got to go, or
We didn't even scratch the surface, man.
not even close. Not even close. So we kind of have a good sit down deer camp style chat with her. A little bit about everything across the whole entire board. What's good in the industry, what's bad in the industry, what's going on here, Canada,
Canada, huh?
Canada.
Wow.
Fuck, I need sleep.
You been drinking?
No. Unless I'm still hungover from the weekend, but no.
Oh, geez.
But
yeah, wild buffalo and crazy times and experiences and stupid social media and pretty much just get started.
Yeah.
So
She kind of fits in with us. If you guys will therefore find out here in the future.
well,
definitely one of us.
Let's not keep everyone waiting. But before we do, I need you to crank that up.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, hold on.
Hey everyone, Mike here with some news for your cruise. We're going to start this one off in Massachusetts, where the Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife is considering increases in the freshwater fishing and hunting license fees for the first time since 1996. This consideration is due to inflation being up 67% since 96, increased agency responsibilities and costs, and the declining license sales over that time. Without increases, it is anticipated that the Inland Fish and Game Fund would be out of money by 2025. And those funds are used for management of fish and wildlife, trout and pheasant stocking, habitat management, and educational programs like hunter education. So, Mass Fish and Wildlife has scheduled 3 virtual informational sessions for the public to get more information and provide feedback prior to Mass Wildlife putting forth a formal proposal. Those sessions are going to be held on February 4th at 6:30 p.m., February 6th at 10 a.m., and February 9th at 6:30 p.m. There's also a feedback form and more information available at mass.gov/masswildlife-funding. And now I have a couple of updates from segments from recent weeks. The first is Vermont, where I previously reported on educational patrols for ice fishing. So Vermont Fish and Wildlife has now introduced a virtual reality ice fishing clinic. This is geared towards those new to ice fishing or wanting to learn about items such as ice safety, jigging, setting tip-ups, fish ID, fish filleting, and cooking. You can find a link to the virtual clinic on Vermont Fish and Wildlife's Facebook page and their website. And when you're viewing, you can view 360 degrees by swiping left or right on your phone, or by clicking, holding, and dragging your mouse if you are on a computer. So now on to PA, where the Pennsylvania Board of Game Commissioners met on January 23rd and preliminarily approved several changes, including increasing the antlerless license limit for hunters from 3 to 4, eliminating rifle use for fall turkey hunting in response to declining turkey populations. The data shows that 14% of fall turkey hunters primarily use rifles, but rifles are responsible for 33% of the fall harvest, due to hunters being opportunistic while hunting other big game. They are estimating that this change could reduce statewide harvest by up to 20%. They're also making the antlered and antlerless deer seasons concurrent statewide. allowing digital hunting and fur takers licenses to be carried in lieu of paper licenses. And these changes will be brought back to the commission, to the commissioners at their April meeting for a final vote. So lastly, we're going to head to Oklahoma and the possibility of a new hunting season. Oklahoma Representative Justin Humphrey has introduced House Bill 1648, urging the Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Commission to establish a Bigfoot hunting season. And no, that is not a joke. The bill would require the commission to set up season dates and create necessary licenses and fees. The Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation has stated that they use science to make management decisions and do not recognize Bigfoot as a wildlife species in Oklahoma. If the bill is passed, the act would take effect November 1st of this year. So I guess my question is, who is ready to pony up the money for a Bigfoot license and tag for this coming year? With that, as always, if you have any news, feel free to reach out to me, Mike Salter on Facebook, or bearded_bowhunter21 on Instagram. And with that, enjoy the rest of your ride.
All right. There it is. The
Bigfoot
news for your
season,
cruise.
dude. Big
I know.
Bigfoot season.
I can't
You
believe it.
I'm gonna fact check that.
I love yeah, I was a little torn up on that. And then the funny thing is that when Mike had sent us that, and then he was like, the only person I know that will kill them is Clint Casper.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. So well, let's fly on down to Ohio to Hooters.
Let's do it. Get
All
your
right.
palette.
Let's go.
All right, here we are.
Nice shot. Here comes a shooter. Shooter. Big buck. Stack.
All right, brother. You're hot.
All right. Why do you always tell me that?
If you want to take it that way, you go
I'm
right
just-
the hell ahead.
I feel good that way. No, just kidding. All right, we're back on the phone with Steph. How are you, Steph? How are things?
Oh, they're great. I'm just sitting here in Ohio, enjoying some family time, taking a little break from all of the quarantining I've been doing this pretty much for the last year.
That's great. Is Canada a little crazy with the quarantine?
Actually, it's not. And we just left to come down here at the beginning of January, much later than we anticipated, but all because of COVID. They just started mandating masks there around the U.S. Thanksgiving time. So late November, December, up, where we live, it's so isolated. We live in a town of 300 people. You wouldn't even know that there was COVID going on in the world.
But they won't let us crazy Americans go up there and go hunting, though.
That's right, man. They're not having any of the Americans coming up there. And actually, I had them. Someone called the wall on me while I was at the grocery store because I had American license plates, and they thought someone was up there spreading their COVID around in their little, town grocery stores.
Wow.
I came out to a cop car blocking me in. Like, they were not joking around.
That's
Wild.
nuts. Has it really affected like the hunting up there with a lot of the outfitters and such?
Well, yeah, I mean, being a professional outfitter up there, my husband's been full-time outfitting for 20 years almost. This is like his 20th season of outfitting, and we lost 90% of the business this year alone in Alberta. Our entire bear season was ruined because the border not opening through the spring, the summer, and then it extended into the fall. It really affected our waterfowl season, where, you know, we have upwards of 100 clients that are just Americans that come up in a 7-week stretch. And, you know, from late August through early October, and none of them were allowed to come. So, you know, we had some, luckily we had a couple weeks of just Canadian hunters that were able to be there. But yeah, it's been a real kick to the dick for them this year.
Yeah,
Everything that's going on. I mean,
That's crazy. That's nuts. Well, why don't we turn this key, get this drive underway? Why don't you tell everyone who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
my name's Manteufel. I'm originally from Ohio, and now I live in Northwest Alberta with my husband, who's a full-time big game outfitter and waterfowl outfitter, and we're kind of gypsies. We get back and forth, and so right now I'm in Ohio visiting some fam while the husband's down in Arkansas slaying geese, and hanging out with you guys tonight.
I'm
having
jealous.
some-
I'd rather be in Arkansas, to be honest with you, but
Yeah, it's definitely a fun time to be down there. If you want to go to Arkansas, this is the time to be there. And they're getting ready to go into the snow goose conservation season, so it's going to get even crazier next month. And then we'll be back on the road, back to Alberta again to start snow goose hunting up there for the spring. And yeah, it's like just a constant cycle of chasing animals from here to there and everywhere.
just living that dream. That's everybody's dream right there, is chase animals around the country. Literally.
Yeah,
Multiple
that's
countries.
true.
They want to step up. They didn't just say we're going to travel the country. They said we're going to go international.
Yeah, well, my husband's actually Canadian. He is a dual citizen of the U.S. because his dad's American, but yeah, he's lived in Canada the majority of his life. He's been from Manitoba to Saskatchewan, and then ultimately in Alberta, where he's been the last, I think, 14, 15 years.
Wow. So you get big bucks, and then you come down here and kill our waterfowl.
Yeah,
It's not fair.
And hey, and there's big bucks in Ohio too.
Hey, we don't tell
No-
people.
no,
we don't
there
talk
isn't.
about that.
You tell everybody that. I told
tried
you,
to.
yeah, you talk about Ohio way too much.
Listen, so that all happened. Like, I went there, we never hunted there, and then I shot a big buck there. So of course I love Ohio. I mean, where I come from, we shoot little bucks. So I mean, to go there and see what real deer look like, of course you're going to talk about it.
It's definitely worth a drive from Connecticut, that's for sure.
Yes.
I've made that drive. It's not that bad until you get through Jersey and there's deer slaughtered all over the road up there. It's pretty crazy.
So
The state where they don't believe in hunting.
no, they have I didn't realize this, and I just realized this listening to a podcast, is that they have 6 months on of hunting and 6 months off of hunting. And you get 6 bucks. So every month you get a different buck tag. And then there's unlimited does in Jersey.
Right. But it doesn't help if you don't have hunters.
Which is true.
You can have all the permits in the world. If you got 10 guys out there, you're not going to do anything.
You're right. This is true.
Yeah, that does seem pretty crazy, but yeah, when you consider the number of hunters versus the number of deer, and you see the massacres that are their interstates up there where there are a lot of deer in abundance, it's pretty crazy. You understand why the insurance companies are probably like, slam all.
Especially there where the insurance companies are on every single corner.
Right.
It's like the capital of insurance, right? New York, New Jersey, right? I don't know. I have not a clue. I just made that up.
Makes sense to me.
Sounded like a made up statistic.
Yeah, I could believe it.
Absolutely. So, Steph, why don't you do a little bit of writing also, don't you?
Yeah, I've done some writing for several different women's magazines and some other magazines over the years, and most recently I've written a couple articles for Pope and Young's Ethics magazine, which one of their winter issue just came out today. That has a story about my year in velvet last year, is what I called my year 2020. I had a couple velvet deer that that I was after, and wrote about those in the most recent issue.
What state did you take that deer?
My whitetail I took in Alberta.
Okay.
And that's why hunting in Ohio my whole life, you don't have the opportunity to shoot velvet bucks. So
Right.
that's always been an Ohio girl's dream, was to shoot a big velvet buck with my bow, and finally had that opportunity this year to capitalize on it. Happened very quickly, which was awesome. But we started the year off, we did a trip to Maui, and we went there to hunt axis deer and velvet.
Gotcha.
And that was like the time of year to go. It just happened to fall in like the only month of the year that we can take a vacation, which is in March, like between all the goose hunting and where everything else gets crazy. So we decided to go to Maui. They've got Spanish goats there, the axis deer, and we're like, let's just do it. So we did, and that was an awesome experience too.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that, because I only know a couple of people that have done it. And from what I hear, it's just kind of, yeah, they're there, go kill them. That's really what I've gathered. Is that really the case?
Here's the best way I can explain hunting in Hawaii. The best comparison I have would be hunting plains game animals in Africa, because it's just part of the terrain that you're hunting. You're hunting basically on the side of an old volcano. It's very like steep terrain. It's very rocky, lava rocks everywhere. It's pretty dangerous. You really have to watch every single step. But yeah, they have axis deer in abundance there, and to bow hunt them, they're very skittish animals. So we actually weren't prepared to bow hunt when we went, unfortunately. So we decided to take our rifles and some rifle hunting. And even then, you want to pick and choose like everything. If you're a trophy hunter, and I say trophy hunting in more of a conservation term for me, like I want to shoot big mature animals. So I have no problem saying that I'm a trophy hunter, but we wanted to go, and that's what we were after. So if you're doing it that way, it's not quite as easy as people would say. I mean, you're just going to go there and pick one off. Now does, sure, but if you want a trophy axis deer, like you'll work for it.
Gotcha.
You'll sweat your ass off too, because
I bet.
that never hunted in 80 some degree temps where you're just like stripping down while you're walking and hunched over, like
The heavy
dying.
humidity and
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then when we went after the Spanish goats, that was really rough, because those goats like to hang out in the lava rocks, and you're climbing and up and down. And I just kept thinking, man, do not like trip or like twist your ankle or something. Because you'd have a hell of a time getting out of some of these places if you injured yourself. And yeah.
crazy.
So it's like no other place that you've ever hunted then.
Oh no, it was amazing. You're standing up on the hillside. We're up in one part, the back side of this volcano, and it looked like we were on Mars. It also like reminded me like of pictures I've seen people hunting in New Zealand. And then you're looking down the mountain, and you're looking out of the Pacific Ocean, and you just have these beautiful views and this like lush green grass that's like rolling down the hillsides. And then you like, I don't know, just like rock cliffs and stuff out to the water. Look like something out of the Goonies movie. I was like, where are we? Like, this is crazy, because there's so many different ecosystems in Hawaii, and you're like kind of hunting amongst like multiple ecosystems. So it's really crazy. Like we got up into one part where we were probably we had to have been close to 8,000-9,000 feet, and it was like pouring rain. But then you go down, and it was sunny. It was just, it was pretty wild.
That's nuts. So then where did the season take you from there after that?
took us straight into quarantine, man. While we were there, we
Wham.
landed on
Wow.
the island on March 2nd, right? So 2 days in, Trump announces that there's a pandemic and they're shutting the world down. And I'm thinking we're like getting stuck on this island, but like what better place to be stuck
Right.
than Maui? My husband didn't want to leave. He was like, maybe we should just stay. I'm like, yeah, we have 3 dogs at home. Our friends are cool, but they probably don't want to hang on to our 3 labs for like a month. Like we'll never get off this island. We're gonna be like Gilligan's Island there. Yeah, it got pretty crazy. Like everybody's calling, they're like everything's shutting down. Like, and there were some cruise ships that ended up getting several cases of COVID, and like they had, I think, maybe even been to Hawaii or left Hawaii, and they got stuck at port in California when they went back, and like all this was in the news. So people were, sending us all this info. And then while we were hunting the last few days of our trip, my friend sends me a text message and said they shut down Vegas. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like the world is ending. Vegas
Yeah.
just shut down. That
Right.
doesn't happen. Yeah, I don't know. So it was crazy.
So were you like afraid that you like couldn't make it back home? Because you're like very far away from home.
Yeah, and not only just like home that way, but we had to go back to Arkansas because that's where we flew out of before when we left, because this is at the end of our season down here. So we had to go back to Arkansas and then up to Ohio, back to Canada. Like, so like there was like this whole circular route we had to do when we got back, and we didn't know how we were going to do any of it because like here, there's no toilet paper. People are fucking idiots and going and buying up everything like the world really was ending. And like meanwhile they're still producing all of that stuff and everybody can wipe their ass with ease.
Jeez.
But
love
like
it.
I mean, we were going back like, what are we going to do? We're not going to have food. People were wiping the shelves out. Like it was pretty like unnerving to fly back, and then to have to get on a plane with 700, 800 people or whatever's on these jumbo jets you're flying out of Hawaii on. Like after they just tell you like thousands of people are dying in Italy, and like, I mean, just it was pretty unnerving.
That's
And
nuts.
meanwhile, too, my allergies were flared up so bad I couldn't stop sneezing. So I'm just like sneezing on the plane. And I was like joking about the whole COVID thing. And then I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't joke about it anymore because people are going to be freaking out. Like,
That's priceless.
it was bad.
Everyone's like fleeing away from you on the airplane, trying to get to the back.
Well, they probably were. I mean, I would have been scared. I was already paranoid about everyone else. Like, and you just not knowing what it was really at the time. I mean, this is like day one basically of all this going down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, you eventually made it home, so
Yeah, we did. And we kind of had to forego all of our plans, like when we got back to Ohio and all that. We just had to kind of pack up and call the border, make sure we weren't going to have any issues getting, back, and we didn't. But it was weird, crossing the border when everybody at that point in time really didn't know anything about COVID yet or what was happening to people. So everybody's just super paranoid. They didn't want you to stop for gas. They didn't want you to stop and stay at hotels. Yeah, I mean, it was really kind of like an eerie feeling to cross the border into another country, that I'm like fairly new to. Like, what's gonna happen? Am I gonna be able to see my family? Are they gonna let us out?
That's
I was
nuts.
just lots of unknowns. Because you go to a different country and it's you definitely feel a sense of belonging to where you're from, but when you're in someone else's house, like their laws, like everything, it's just totally different. Definitely was a scary time.
That's crazy.
But we
So-
made it.
Yeah, and then you obviously you harvested a pretty big buck
Yeah.
once you got
Yeah.
back home.
Yeah. And yeah, once we got back to Alberta, well, because our whole bear season and everything got fucked, we were able to just like scout like every day, go look for deer, and we do our scouting loop. And I mean, we found several deer early summer, and then it was like mid-July. We were on this big scouting loop one night, and um, we got back almost to our driveway, and the buck that I ultimately ended up going after was standing in the field right next to our driveway. After we'd done all the scouting, I mean, for hours, like we'd been out watching other deer that we were like contemplating, choosing one of those to go after. Yeah, we get back to the driveway. It's like, it's pretty dark at this point when we are getting home, and a buck ran across the road, and I was like, shit, I'm like, there's a buck. Trevor stops, and I'm like, holy shit, there's another one standing in the field still that hadn't crossed over in front of us. And we sat there and we watched them, and we were like, God damn, right in the yard. Like, I was driving around, and here's the buck I won. I was like, that's it. I was like, that's the one I'm going after. Like, he's the yard buck. Like, why not? I mean, then I don't have to go far from home. And the other reason behind that too, and not wanting to really go out and hunt some other areas alone, because I'm used to just going out and hunting alone. But hunting up there alone is a little different, because there's shit that can eat you up there that I'm not familiar with. I mean, mountain lions, black bears, we're in grizzly country. I don't know if I'm prepared for one of those encounters quite yet with a bow. I mean, I don't know what my reaction would be if I were on the ground and something popped out that could eat me.
So you say you're on the ground, like, so do you hunt from tree stands up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you hunted from ground or.
Well, you got to get there
the
somehow.
walk.
Well,
yeah.
Well, of course you got to
there.
get there. Yeah.
Man, I'm short. Okay, so I'm only 5'1". So you get in some of these tall grasses or like a pea field, and I'll disappear. And those bears and stuff, when they come out in the oat fields or anything like that, I mean, and you're like down here, you can barely see them. I mean, you'll walk right up on something, if you got the right wind and you're quiet, and you're tiptoeing around. I mean, you never know what you might run into. So yeah,
especially you coming from farm country, Ohio, where there's really not anything like that at all.
I didn't even carry a flashlight to a stand. Like, I laugh sometimes because I hear a lot of women in some of these groups, they'll like, make a post about, do you carry a flashlight or not? Like, I'm terrified of the dark, or, and I'm like, I've never really thought about it, because if I can see by the moonlight, I'm going to walk in without a flashlight. There's nothing in Ohio that's going to eat you, or, I mean, really, for even snake bite or anything, you don't have to worry about that stuff. Some areas, but not where I grew up, not where I hunted mainly. So yeah, worst thing you're gonna run into maybe is a coyote.
But then it's really not going to bother you at all.
No,
Not the coyote.
no.
But up there, like, it seems like it's like being in Africa, where everything will absolutely try and kill you.
Yeah, but actually, the thing I'm most terrified of is moose.
Because
everybody I know has got run down by one. Like, at some point, they've been chased by a moose. Something, and I'm just
Really?
that's that. One of our friends, they even told us just recently, like, they were elk hunting or whitetail hunting or something, and they were coming off of a field, and they crossed paths with this moose, and it ran him down, and he luckily got close enough to his truck. He was able to hit the panic button, and the noise and all the alarms and stuff kind of scared the moose off.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Moose are mean, man. They are territorial.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just
as big
go
as a
looking for 'em.
Clydesdale, so it's like, I mean, they're definitely intimidating.
I go into the North Woods and try and find them. I don't know. I've never had a problem.
I think our moose are bigger than yours.
Really? I don't think so. I don't know. That's
Here we
tough.
go. Comparing sizes.
The only thing that I would worry about is in the spring when the little ones when the cows
they're
have
calving
calves.
out.
Yeah, and we actually have a lot of those. Like we had on, you know, and some of these are like close by, you know, we get a lot of moose. We'll have moose that come through our field or whatever, you know, just looking like
That's
out the back window, and you know, you got one coming through the yard or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of there were several cows we had this year that had like twins, so they're probably even twice as aggressive. Than got two
That's
babies to look after. Yeah, they don't mess around.
We had one time shed hunting that we had come across a cow that just had a calf, and the calf could barely even walk. And my buddy Mike hits me up on the radio and he's like, "Dude, I just seen a cow have a calf." And I'm like, "All right, it's time to get out of there, dude." He's like, "No, man, I can't. Like, I got a video of this." He's like, "Do you still have your big camera with you?" I said, "Yeah, it's in my backpack." He's like, "Meet up with me. I'm going back in there and I'm going to videotape it." And I'm like, "You're not going in alone." I was like, "I'll go in with you." So I stayed like 50 yards behind him while he was trying to get up to him to get the video. And then we couldn't find the calf. She had like bedded down in some stuff. And then the cow, I thought like had disappeared and was like charging us, but like totally disappeared altogether. I was petrified. At that point, that's when I would be worried, but
Yeah, I would have been pretty terrified at that point too.
that's crazy.
That's
couldn't wait.
badass though. Like
Yeah.
no one gets to encounter stuff like that
No.
except for hunters and people that are, you know, in the woods a lot. I mean,
You can't see
you're
it
the
if you're
only
not out
people-
there.
That's right. That's right. That's one of the coolest parts about hunting though, is like the crazy stuff that you see and hear that, you know, like very few people have ever heard or seen or will see. It's definitely what makes it special.
So with you traveling and getting to hunt all over, what is some of the crazy things that you've been able to see?
Man.
Because you've
That would be
hunted
hard to-
Africa, you've hunted pretty much all over.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere that you haven't hunted?
Well, yeah, lots of places.
Okay.
I mean, I like a whole like bucket list of places I would go. New Zealand's one of them I brought up earlier. Like, that's definitely one of those bucket list hunts I want to do. But yeah, Africa was absolutely crazy. Just seeing all the different animals and just interacting with them, being up close because we were bow hunting. So we had some pretty close encounters with like giraffes and just like crazy huge animals and animals you've never seen before, you know, like popping out and you're like, what the fuck is that? Like the little dikers and you know, they're just like tiny little baby deer, little 40-pound deer. Or
Were you guys targeting Dika or no?
well, my buddy Matt actually, he shot one. He's got a little skull mount of it. No, it's
Did
like
they
this
call
big.
was he calling to it or?
No,
Okay.
no. I think it just came into a water hole because, I mean, when you're bow hunting, they've got you set up in these pit blinds. For the most of them are pit blinds, so they're like 3/4 of the way in the ground, you know, and you've just got like the windows above the ground, and you'll hunt over a water hole. But some of these animals only drink water every 3 days, maybe. So there's no guarantee that you're going to see one, even though you're on these game preserves, but they're like 20,000 acres. So you don't, I mean, you could drive around, I'm sure, and locate them. And I'm sure that's what they do when they rifle hunt there. But yeah, the bow hunting was a little bit different because you're targeting something, you know, you like pick animals off of a menu, essentially. Like you know, you can hunt whatever you want. It's kind of a la carte, but like if something came in and you're like, oh, I want to shoot that, and like you can ask them how much it is and shoot that animal. It's kind of crazy.
That's
Yeah.
nuts. Did you have any crazy encounters while you were there?
Yeah, we were in this pit blind that was out, and it was out in front of the, I don't know, like the main house and stuff where we were staying up on this hill. So from the hillside, you could see this bow hunting area that we were in and see this blind. And I was down this pip line this day, and I think I was hunting wildebeest. And there was I call it the rogue buffalo, this Cape buffalo that came in. He was a single male, like 4 years old, they said. And he must have like got wind of us or something. I don't know. But he knew that we were in that pit blind, and he did not want us in there. And it's just this small little stone hut that's, like I said, it's built like 3/4 way in the ground. You've got these windows that are just above the ground, big enough for you to shoot a bow out of. And then it's got this little staircase that you walk down to get into it. And there's like this old wooden rickety door on it. It's got this little window, and they've got like a piece of cardboard or something over the little hole in the door to look out, so the light doesn't shine in, so you don't have that shadow on you. They're not seeing you through the window. So that's covered up, and it's got a little aluminum roof, like tin roof or whatever on it. And we're sitting in there, and you can hear this buffalo like kind of circling us. And then all of a sudden, like he just like tries to rip the roof off of this thing. And it was so loud because it's this tin roof, and we're like, it's just this small area. It's probably like maybe a 6x4 like area. You're small, just there's a bench in there basically, and you're in this little box. So this thing's trying to rip the roof off, and I'm about to shit my pants. And all we have is a bow. The PH that was with me, he didn't have a rifle or anything. So we're just sitting in there, and I'm just like, holy shit. And he would like circle the little building, and he was putting his eyeball like up to the window trying to see us like peer in through the window. And it just took me back to like a scene in Jurassic Park where T-Rex is like under the car, and he's like eyeballing the guy and like that's what I feel like at this point. I'm like, this motherfucker is about to destroy us. And I grab my jacket that I'm not wearing sitting next to me, and I literally like hold it up in front of my face so that he couldn't see me. I was not going to make eye contact with this bull. And he proceeds to keep trying to rip the roof off this place, comes around to the door part. He's got his head like hanging over the stairwell, and he just rams the door like with his horn. It knocks that piece of paper off the hole or cardboard or whatever it was. And I mean, I'm like freaking out. And I could connect to Wi-Fi on my phone to the main house. Like their signal strength was that good. And I sent a message to my buddy Matt's wife, who was up there hanging out. She was just along for the trip. And she happened to be up by the pool, so she could see where we were at. And I'm like telling her that there's this rogue buffalo, and he's like trying to kill us. So a couple seconds later, I hear Rhonda, like she's like yelling at the buffalo. She's like, "Buffalo! Buffalo!" like yelling from the pool. This buffalo isn't doing anything. And the PH that was with me tells her to, radio someone to let him know like that the situation's happening. So a few minutes later, it seemed like forever because this buffalo was pretty relentless. Like he wanted to murder us. This guy comes flying in on one of those like Land Rover deals, like your quintessential safari Jeep thing that you picture when you think of going on a safari in Africa. So he comes like bouncing across the rocks and stuff, like flying into this area right up on the buffalo, and gets in between the buffalo and our little blind that we're in. And we're sitting in there, and he calls the PH, and they have a conversation, and the PH looks at me. He's like, okay. He's like, just leave everything here. He's like, we're going to have to make a run for it. And I'm like, we're going to make a run for it. So I'm like looking out this window like, oh fuck. I'm like, I'm glad I ran track, man. So I'm like, hopefully I'm still somewhat fast. I don't know. I'm gonna make it to this truck as quickly as possible. So I can see the buffalo on the other side of the truck. And I literally just like booked it out the door, like ran to the what is our driver's side, you know, here on their trucks is the passenger side. So like I run and I jump in the passenger seat. And about the time that I got in and shut the door, that buffalo charged the truck from the driver's side, so the opposite side, and rammed the truck with his horns under the wheel well of the driver's side and kind of lifted us off the ground almost. Like he got his horn in there and just like it slammed the truck. And I'm just like, holy fuck. Oh my God. Matt is gonna be so jealous. Like he was not here for this. Like he's never gonna believe what just happened. This is like the craziest thing ever. And yeah, the PH ran and he like got on the back of the truck and then we drove off and yeah, it was freaking wild.
Jeez.
It still makes me excited just thinking about it. I mean, it was a total adrenaline rush, which I'm all about. So, but I mean, I didn't want to die by the hands of a rogue Cape buffalo. But I did hear they ended up having to shoot that exact buffalo. Like, I don't know if it was a month later or something. I think he like tried to run down one of the farmhands, like went after one of the workers on the farm there. So they ended up shooting him. I
Too
wish
bad
I
you
would've-
weren't, gonna be the
I
one to
know.
shoot him.
Right. We kept threatening to shoot him all week after that.
Crazy.
Especially my buddy Matt.
They're so dangerous, though. Like that's
Yeah.
probably one of the most dangerous animals over there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And actually the first day that we were there, like our first day of hunting, I went to this area. I don't remember what I was hunting that day, but we got in this blind and it wasn't one of the pit blinds that I was telling you about. This blind looked like an outhouse, like made out of tin. And it was, you know, circular and had just some small windows in it. And it was like, I mean, it looked like you could like kick it over. And we get inside this thing and I'm just like in there and I'm like looking around like, man, like this is not going to protect you from
That's some
some of
Kentucky
these big
shit.
animals. Yeah. I'm like, so I asked the PH then, I was like, what if like some Cape buffalo come in here? And he's like, oh, there's not buffalo in this part of the, you know, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense because they would definitely tear this fucking thing down. And this is before that whole incident even occurred. So this was already like a thought in my head was how, you know, how strong are these structures? And then like 2 seconds later, this whole herd of Cape buffalo comes in to this water hole. And, you know, I mean, they're like 20 feet out in front of us and they're drinking around this water hole. And my heart was racing and he was like, it's okay, you know, but, and we just sat there and I took pictures of them and, you know, they stayed there for probably 20, 30 minutes drinking water and then they all left. But I mean, I was scared like of the first, because that was my like the first animal I saw on the trip and it wasn't one that I was going to shoot. But
And you hear all these crazy stories about them on how dangerous
Yeah.
they are.
yeah, that's what I'm like. Yeah, I'm glad that I have that story to tell and that I live to tell about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little more important that you can tell it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they between them and hippos, they kill a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely would not want to get anywhere near a hippo. The people that bow hunt those things, they're crazy. These
Actually,
things
it's
are
kind of
massive.
they're absolutely giant. Speaking of, you were actually the one that sent me about Connecticut trying to get rid of the 6 big game animals.
Yeah,
Again.
again in California, of course they tried that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why, you know, I see a lot of that stuff. When I was in Africa, Cecil the lion was shot. Same time
geez.
I was there. And it was crazy because we had no idea that was going on, because literally, the doctor that shot Cecil or whatever is like under fire, but he was literally hunting the exact same time that I was hunting. So when we got back and we were posting pictures from our hunt, of our
Bad
kills
timing.
and stuff there, oh man, I got blown up by PETA, by all kinds of people. I mean, there were like different groups and stuff like Hunt the Hunters, and they were sharing my social media pages to their groups and then telling these people to come fuck with me. So I, like, all of a sudden one day, my inbox just started blowing up with messages. People telling me they're going to murder me and like, that I should die and go fuck yourself and cunt, cunt, cunt. Like, that was like the favorite one from the Europeans. But I mean, yeah, it got crazy. I was like, what the? And it was all because of the whole Cecil lion and the timing of it, I think. But I mean, you still get that every once in a while. But
Which is
it
kind
was
of a
just,
miscommunication anyways.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why it kind of started here anyways in Connecticut, is because that's why they're trying to ban the big six here, is because of the whole Cecil thing, him being from Connecticut. And then it kind of put into the whole eyes of that. But with talking to a buddy of mine, who's actually a PH, it was because he was with a young PH and he got scared when they had killed Cecil because it had a collar on him. And instead of calling in the collar, when it being part of obviously studies and stuff, that PH freaked out and threw the collar off of him. And then he ended up getting in trouble because he got rid of that collar. Do you get what I'm saying? So like,
yeah, even though they hunted it legally, he
it was
got scared
100%
and-
legal.
Yeah, and he just went about it wrong. I know. Well, people are afraid to hunt and do anything these days, legal or not, just because of, all the crazies out there.
I mean, look at you getting attacked for doing something that you're legally allowed to be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why, I mean, I try to promote everything and do everything as ethically as possible, or not to post anything or share stuff with non-hunters that I feel would hurt the hunting community. If I felt that anything I were going to post were going to hurt the hunting community, I just assume not post it. And I'm not afraid to tell other people that I think you're a dickwad if you post something and it's like just, really graphic or whatever it is. I mean, I get it, but I don't agree with rubbing it in people's faces that are supporting us being non-hunters that may turn them off to hunting, because there's just things that have like some kind of shock value to it. And I don't know, some of those things I look at and it shocks me, like seeing it, like, why would you share that with people like that, aren't necessarily involved in hunting in any way, because everything's public. You're not just sharing it with friends that hunt or other hunters. So
No, that
Just-
brings up a really good point, actually. And that's one of my ultimate pet peeves, not throwing names or profiles or anything out there, but there is nothing worse than someone who claims to be a supporter of hunting, a supporter of the outdoors, that will turn around and take those pictures and basically hand them to PETA and say, go ahead and harass us and try to shut us down now. Here's your ammo. Let me give you the ammo. And then turn around and say I'm a conservationist.
yeah, there's a lot of people like that, unfortunately. And like, there's like this trend now with all these crazy photos on social media and what people find acceptable. And I mean, I have a really good sense of humor. I'll laugh about anything. There's not much I won't laugh at, but like, there's just some things like the selfies and stuff laying down.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
that
deer,
one
and
irritated me as well.
yeah, I know there's a lot of people that don't agree with me. They think it's funny. They like it. I think some of the pictures are funny too. They're funny to other hunters, but they're not funny to people that
Well,
don't hunt. It's a shock value thing. It's disrespectful to the animal that you've just taken its life. and you're, it looks like you're making fun of it in a way, like just really making light of something that you should take very seriously, like the honor of being able to hunt your own food and go after wild game the way we do, and have people that don't hunt support us in doing that. Like, let's not turn them off to it and be like, you know what, these guys are taking it a little too far. I'm going to lean more towards no hunting than hunting. Like,
Yeah. Well, and there's a difference too. You can reach out hunter to hunter and say, hey, congratulations. You probably should rethink what you do next time.
yeah.
Give them a perspective as a hunter. Don't blast that out and say, here, everyone in the world, look at them and make fun of them, or whatever your thoughts are, because that only hurts the hunting community.
Absolutely.
And there's a couple of groups there that have very big following, and they literally are attacking the wrong people. And those people are followed by the wrong people. So, for example, we got blasted on a picture that I posted, and they put it on in front of all of these people, and literally every single anti from all over completely attacked me over some stupid photo. And it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah, it
What
wasn't.
was
It
the
was.
photo? Can you tell? I'm curious.
So
My interest.
it was a doe picture. So when I went down to Virginia, we hunted public together. I shot a doe. It was me and Steven was blowing a kiss to the deer. And they ripped us up to the point I had to remove it. And like, it was bad. Like, it wasn't even like the picture wasn't even that bad.
I was blowing a kiss to the deer. Like, I love you. Thank you. This is great.
Because we had hunted together a handful of times and weren't successful. So like, we were just happy and we were just making a joke. Like, it was kind of like funny. It was not like we were ridiculing. Like, the deer was properly placed and everything like that. And Steven was just blowing a kiss to it. And oh, it got so bad. And every anti jumped on my shit and it sucked so much. Like, I was just like, so all these antis follow this. Like, that's who's following these people, just waiting for hunters to do something wrong. Like, I just couldn't believe it.
They're literally feeding PETA.
It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, that seems pretty harmless too, to make a big deal out of that.
It was completely stupid. It was kind of like, like the other thing that you sent me about all the waterfowlers shooting a 40-man limit of speckle bellies. Like, really? That should be ridiculed. That should be taken to a whole new level.
I don't know who'd want to show up to an outfitter and think that they had your best interest in mind when you show up and there's 39 other people on a firing line with you. I mean, that's just so unsafe. And I don't know.
But how does that look as us coming from the hunting community? Like, that doesn't look good when you take a picture of that many birds. You know what I'm saying? Like, that they're literally massacring flocks on flocks in one area. That's not part of conservation.
No, and that's how I view it too. That's also like, if you're gonna do that every day, I mean, sure you could, but like, why would you? And I really doubt that they're actually decoying birds. So how much fun is that hunt really if you're just, shooting everything flying over you and, you don't experience the hunt? Like, if you want to go hunt with an outfitter, you should get you should get 100% from those outfitters. And if they hunted with someone that knew what they were doing versus, just, these guys that are, I think all they're thinking about is the money aspect of it or whatever it is, because that's really what it comes down to.
That's nuts. So like in Connecticut, we're only allowed 6 people in the blind at a time. That's it. That's the law.
It should be a law. I mean, with us, there's never, I would say more than 12 people at a time in any field, and that's even during conservation, so
it just gets unsafe.
and that's a lot. Most groups are like 6 to 8, on average, I would say.
That's a lot though. That's a lot of shooting. How do you know what bird that you're shooting? Like, on a law standpoint, like, you hear some of these stories and some of these other like waterfowl podcasts and stuff, and guys that get jammed up, like the guy, those toe tag. They get jammed up for stupid little things, and it'd be like, well, whose bird was whose? Or, and the judge will literally say to them, like, if you don't know what bird you're shooting, you should only have one person shooting at a time.
Yeah.
Like, so how are you doing that with 40 people? And how good does that actually look when obviously, and birds of all
They're very
things,
proud of it. They're
I
very
don't-
proud of it.
I don't get that, because like with birds and stuff, like there's way more PETA people watching on birds than they do on any big game out there. Like, I know at least here, like if we get like say a white fronted goose or a speckled belly, or we had a pink footed goose here for a while, or canvasback or whatever, there'll be like 35 people with cameras following this stupid bird around our entire state, like wherever it is. And you show up to that place and there'll be like 35 people taking pictures of that one bird. So could you imagine?
You're in Connecticut, so there's probably a
Well,
lot of bird watchers up there.
Easy.
Yeah.
This is the truth. This is the truth. But
True story.
it's just nuts, and why would you put that eye out there for, for everybody else to see, It's just
I
ridiculous.
don't know. I'm sure that the feds have to be like watching this stuff, because like if that were my job and I were seeing this as like some new trend of, having that many people in a field, they're not doing everything like they should. There's no way. I don't know.
The thing is,
you could, but I mean, I don't know.
the feds don't play no games. Like, I know a story of a guy that guided here in Connecticut, but also guided in Canada, and literally, this guy the Fed was friends with him for 3 years. Went to his wedding. The kids played together, the whole 9 yards. It went on for a 3-year investigation, and they literally checked off every little thing that he did. Like, if they shot over their limit, he would check that down, or the Fed would go up to shoot, and that guide would actually shoot the bird, and he would shoot to the right hand side so that guide was over the limit, and they literally checked it every single time, and then they ended up
Wow.
raiding him. So like, if you think that you're not being watched when you're a guide like that, you're out of your mind, especially when you're doing stuff like that. That somebody there is going to be the law, and there's a lot of people that are underground when it comes to that
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people that get in trouble, in waterfowl hunting, which is like pretty new to me. I mean, I didn't grow up waterfowl hunting. That wasn't my thing. In Southwest Ohio, there's really not a whole lot of waterfowl. And most people, are just deer hunters and whatever down here. So, when I met my husband, and like that was like what he was known for. Like we connected about whitetails and stuff, but his whole life has been built around waterfowl hunting, which was totally foreign to me. And yeah, and then it's just seeing the dick measuring contest that it is quite hilarious.
It's
in
bad.
some areas. Yeah, it's real bad.
It's like the
It's real bad.
whitetails in Ohio. No. It was a well-kept secret for a while, though, Ohio.
Till Trev went there.
Yeah, till he doesn't stop talking about it on his podcast.
Sorry. No worse than any other podcast that hunts anywhere else.
That's true.
Every other I think podcasts ruined public land hunting all across the board.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would test to that, but definitely social media and Facebook. And I feel, yeah, YouTube. I know I've been running a page on Facebook that at one point we had, I don't know, 25,000 followers on it. Facebook shut our page down. It was Antler Addiction 365. And it's all shed hunting. So then we had to start Antler Addiction 365 2.0 because Facebook just shut the page down because they didn't agree with, what we were posting. Community standards bullshit,
Oh, come
because,
on. Big tech doesn't censor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, apparently shed antlers are very offensive. So, I mean, and that was all it is. But you can't post anything anymore without someone asking what county, where'd you find it? Like they're going to pinpoint down to where you found this. And then, they're going to try to go in those areas. And like this happens to people all the time. And that's why, anymore. If you're smart, you just shut your mouth about your deer, your sheds, whatever, I don't know, and just don't talk about it and don't post about it. And yeah, if you're smart.
Which
I'm not.
we're not.
You'll never figure
Well,
out where I was anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
We were in Ohio.
We're in Ohio.
even
That's it.
pictures, man. I didn't post a single picture or really tell anyone about the deer I hunted this year. I mean, I just kind of learned that the hard way. But like until I shot my buck, until he was on the ground, I never posted any pictures of him or showed any trail cam photos of him, because in the past, that's people have stolen trail cam photos, posted them as their own, and then somebody's tagged me like, this guy. I actually had a guy that was like a co-host of a TV show on an outdoor channel that took a picture of my buck and posted it on his Instagram, on Facebook, claimed that it was a deer in Kentucky that they could hunt at an outfitter, that it was prearranged or whatever, but like it was one of their trail cam photos, like trying to sell hunts for an outfitter in another state using pictures of my deer. Like, dude, get fucked. And I sent this guy a message. I wish I still had screenshots of it, because I did take a screenshot of it at the time, because I'm just such a smart ass and I can't remember what I said to him, but it was like the bitchiest message. Like, you're a fuck stick. That's my fucking deer. Like, I have his shed. Here's another picture. Here's another picture of him. Like, you're an idiot. Then I contacted the TV show that he was on and told them how big of a fuck stick he was. And then the guy took his message down, but he did respond back. And he was like trying to be a hard ass. And I was like, you're a little bitch. You'll never shoot a deer like that.
Why would he do something like that? Like the hunting community is such a small community when it really boils down to it. You don't think that somebody's not going to see that? Like,
yeah, it's like taking the picture of that Seneca County deer in Ohio that guy just found, the deadhead. And, it's like that. Like, if you ask anybody in the shed hunting community about my shed, they know about it. Like, I mean, I could post that picture and anybody that knows whitetail sheds knows that shed. I'll comment it on it, and there'll be certain people that will consistently comment like, that's my favorite, like, mainframe 4-point like shed, or it's kind of cool like when people say that, because I'm like, wow, that's really neat. Like, and these are collector people. They're just like diehard shed hunters.
we had a kid here, okay, in Connecticut, big shed hunter, like known from all over, moose sheds, this, that, and the other thing. Like, real cool. Had him on the last podcast. Cool kid, man. Finds a lot of sheds. The kid is nasty. I am not going to take that away from him any way, shape, or form. But he is not nasty anymore. The hype got to him so much. He literally went online and bought 2 sheds. He wanted a drop tine shed, so he bought a drop tine shed, and then he bought another mainframe 5 drop, big one, giant, right? Way bigger than anything that was ever found here. Buys both of these sheds on eBay, drops them in the woods, goes and finds one of them, FaceTimes me when he finds this thing, like almost crying in tears, dude. It was a drop tine one, freaking out. Oh my God, Trev, I found this giant shed. So I fall for it. I'm like, dude, that's the coolest thing ever, man. Congratulations. So happy for him. This, that, and the other thing. Post pictures all over the place. 3-4 days later, he goes and he finds the other shed. Well, then it ends up on Shed Hunter. It ends up on all these places. You know just as well as I do, these dudes are die hard about antlers. If it had a kicker on one side and that thing was on the internet at one shape, form, anytime, they know about that shed, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
tore into this kid. They're like, you piece of shit. You bought that online. I know you did. They sent the screenshot of the eBay thing, the whole 9 yards. This kid now has zero credibility anywhere, will never go on the internet ever again. He had like his own like little like YouTube TV show, People followed him from all over because he was like the big moose shed hunting guy, this, that, and the other thing. Did all kinds of stuff for the state, like talking about moose and this, that. Not anymore. You'll never see him ever again. Like,
That's
why would you
hilarious.
do that? Like, people know these deer.
People do it all the time. All the
Why?
time.
Why would that hype get to you so much that you're going to ruin everything that you've ever built? Ever.
Well, there's a lot of people that try to pass off like farm sheds as free range.
Oh yeah.
And but then there's so many assholes out there that comment high fence on my shed all the time. Some dickwad will do that, like, or pass me at like an outdoor expo or something where I have the shed, and you know everybody wants to come up and see it or whatever. They'll come and be like, "Oh, it's a high fence deer." You know, I'm like, "Yeah, dude, get the fuck out of here." Like, I don't even want to talk to people. It's like you don't even know.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah,
It didn't
is
come.
crazy.
It came from Iowa. It didn't come from Ohio.
Right. I'm in Iowa.
That's crazy. So how was it growing up in Ohio and chasing big bucks? Like, that's obviously what you grew up doing.
Well, I didn't grow up hunting, but I was always around hunting. My dad hunted, my brother hunted, but it was kind of more of a boys' club kind of thing. And I always enjoyed the outdoors. I mean, and I wanted to go, you know, help my brother recover a deer or do whatever, you know. But yeah, I never really wanted to get into it until I was in my 20s. And then I think I was just like, I was done partying and all that, and was kind of like, there's got to be more to life than this. And I don't know, my dad was talking about going to the farm and going hunting one fall, and I was just like, I want to go, let's go. You know, I'd go and I'd sit in the stand and stuff with them, or sit in a blind and just, you know, spectate or whatever. But yeah, at that point I was just like, yeah, I want to shoot a deer. So went during shotgun, shot my first whitetail, and then I was, as soon as I shot that deer and like went through the whole experience, like of, you know, just the hunting, the camaraderie, and then being able to process the deer and take meat home. I thought that was so cool. And then I realized that the hunting season was like really short. You know, you could only hunt for shotgun for like a week, and then like another weekend, and then there was muzzleloader. But I realized that you could hunt with a bow like year round. So like immediately I just like went and bought a bow. And I was like, I'm gonna bow hunt, because
Good
now
enough.
I can hunt for like 4 months instead of like a week and a half. And that's just, it's like the addiction just grew like overnight. I mean, after I shot the first whitetail, it was on, and I've like just dove in head first and tried to learn as much as I could about everything, and then got really independent with my hunting. And you know, I wanted to show the guys up basically at our hunting camp, like my dad, and you know, all that. And well, they would all give me so much shit and called me skirt and stuff at camp, and I'd be the, you know, the only female there, and be like 10 guys usually at camp, and we had a few thousand acres to hunt on, so there was always a decent amount of people there. And yeah, I would ended up going hunting. I was hunting by myself, and there was a guy that lived up around the farm. I was a crazy turkey hunter, like just like an amazing turkey hunter. And he took me under his wing when I wanted to hunt turkeys, and then I like got addicted to turkey hunting, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. It was a snowball effect. And then I was like, what else can I do? Like, this is awesome. Like, now I've got venison and I've got turkey, and like, but you kind of run out of stuff to hunt in Ohio that you can eat, besides rabbits and squirrels and stuff.
You guys do have the biggest red squirrels I've ever seen in my life. Fox red, eastern fox. Those things are
They
insane.
are. You know what? It's funny, because I'm glad you said this, because my husband, he always gives me shit because I'm talk about the squirrels up in Alberta that we have. They're like the size of a chipmunk. I mean, they're so small. And I'm like, gosh, I was like, it's like, these are the smallest squirrels ever. And he's like, they're just regular sized squirrels. I'm like, no, they're like fucking little. Like, they just look like chipmunks. And like, I guess maybe because he's just never seen how big these squirrels are.
So, when I first sat and stand and one of them fucking squirrels came out the tree, I thought a T-Rex was gonna eat me. Like I was like, what in the world is that thing? Like, what is it doing here? That is not normal. That is not a normal animal. Because we have little gray squirrels like you probably have. That is not, that thing is inbred with a fucking T-Rex. Get that thing away from me. I was afraid of it. I really was.
If
But-
you were afraid of those, you'd really be afraid of the squirrels that my parents have here at their house. They've got these albino squirrels.
No
So
shit.
they're big squirrels and they're like solid white with red eyes. They're fucking freaky looking.
Yeah, I
They've been
lose my
around
mind.
for years.
That's nuts. So
Yeah.
how was it being a girl growing up in an all boy area? Like, cause like me growing up, right? So like if you would go to a hunting club or whatever, it would be no women allowed. It would be no women, no
Yeah.
like, and
It was
you
a
and
guy's
you were
world.
obvious, yeah, and you were obviously at the beginning of the curve of all of this, the women taking over the hunting industry.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really thought about it too much. I just like when I started doing it, I just kind of did. I didn't really care that it was mostly guys. I mean, and then when I started meeting other women that were
That's
like
cool.
into the same thing, I was like, oh man, this is cool. Like there's some other badass chicks out there that enjoy talking about hunting. And it was kind of weird at first to meet and hear other women talking about deer hunting and actually like know what they're talking about. And yeah, that was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I definitely grew up in an area where, opening day of hunting season, like half your school's gone because, all the guys I went to school with, like everybody hunted. So I think now, like a lot of those people think it's really cool that I hunt, that I grew up with that also hunted. I mean, they think it's cool that girls are getting out and doing it. And I think it encourages other women to do it and might encourage their wives or their girlfriends to go out and enjoy the great outdoors and experience it for themselves too.
I've been saying this forever, is that women are they're the front of the hunting industry. I think that they're going to be like the change of it, because like if the woman of the household is hunting, then the children are obviously going to follow to that. So that's going to put bigger numbers of hunters out there, which in honesty, the only thing that's going to save this is women hunters, honestly. And that's, I don't know,
Yeah.
I've always thought that.
Absolutely. I think that's
Because
a
if
great
not-
point.
Because you see all the women, like there's the huntresses and obviously whatever, big whoop-de-doo, but there's like badass chicks that go out and hunt, and those are the ones that are going to change the hunting industry, honestly.
Yeah. And I actually think there's a lot more women that hunt than we really even hear about or know about. Because I think it's like geographical. Like where I live in Alberta now, like a lot of women hunt, and like a lot of people live off the land, but those people aren't socially like out there,
They
they're
they
not.
could care less. That's how they live.
Yeah. And one of my best friends, she grew up in Alaska. Her dad was one of the original master guides. She grew up hunting, and knows an extreme amount of women that do some of the most like amazing hunting. And I've gone like after all of North America's big game animals with a bow. Some of these women you've never even heard about, and they're not on Instagram and Facebook, and they're not out there trying to get anything out of it. Like they're just doing it because they want to do it. But the people that are doing stuff like you're saying, like they don't even know what a North American slam is. I mean, I don't know what their
They know
guess
one
would
kind
be
of
that
slam,
it
that's
is.
it.
Yeah, but
I-
there's like so many women out there that I know of that are like total badasses, and like no one's ever heard their name. They're not mentioned in anything, and they're probably never even doing a podcast. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they are. I've never
If they're
heard
out
them.
there and anyone knows them, send them our way.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, those are some people I like
You wanna
really
talk
would
to.
have some crazy stories.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So we do have one question. You probably already know the answer, or you've thought of the answer anyways. What drives you outdoors?
My sanity. My sanity is
See, she
what
did think about it
keeps me
because
outdoors.
that was quick.
Trust me, I knew you were gonna ask me that, but I was like, that's a great question. And I could have thought about there's like a million things that drive me outdoors, but it's definitely the where I go to escape reality, the world, work, life, whatever it is, when you just need to shut everything off and just, let everything go. Let's got to get outside.
Oh yeah. Well, real quick, where can everybody find you? How can they get a hold of you, follow you?
You can find me on Instagram at Queen of the Tree Stand, and same on Facebook.com, Queen of the Tree Stand. And then our website is topoftheflyway.com. That's where you'll find out all of our hunting and booking information for our outfitting business. It's Top of the
Hopefully
Flyway Outfitters.
Hopefully it all opens back up so you guys can take on some clientele this year.
Oh man, praying. Our bear camp's full, so
Good.
if the borders don't open, it's just gonna be kind of a real nightmare again, because we already pushed our bear camp from 2020 to 2021. So now these people, if it gets pushed again, it could be another year. We're just gonna look at like
Jeez.
canceling the hunts. We're not gonna run our baits and stuff. It's just so much work, because we did all that last year. Even with the border closed, we still kept all of our bait sites open, and it kept doing what we had to do to be successful outfitters. And never know what the future holds, but hopefully borders open by May. That's what we're praying for.
Well, fingers crossed, and we're pulling for you for sure.
Yeah,
So-
thank you.
If it doesn't open, I'll find a way to get up there and kill those bears for you. Just I'll sneak over the border.
Keep the population in check. a
Yeah.
little.
Definitely. We have so many bears. It's crazy. So yeah.
Well, outstanding. Steph, thank you again for joining us. Really
Hey.
appreciate your time and the stories. Second to none. So
Well, it
greatly
was awesome to
appreciate it.
finally talk with you guys. It's been
Oh, for sure.
long awaited.
Well, we'll definitely be in touch. There's definitely opportunities down the road that I think we'll more or less be calling for you for, but that's
Hey,
just going to
heck
be
yeah.
going. Trev needs a
Yeah,
bear.
definitely. Yeah, you guys
Big Canadian
definitely
whitetail.
stay in touch. We'll have to catch back up.
I don't think it'll
Definitely.
be the last time neither, because I don't think that we got all the information that needed to get out in this podcast. So we'll definitely have to.
I
do a part
know.
two.
I do feel like there's a lot of stuff we didn't get to talk about. I don't
That's
know.
all right. Go ahead and just start taking notes, jot down bullet points, and
I
we'll sit
almost
down
did
and-
that before. I thought maybe I should, because there's like, I don't know.
Maybe that's what we
stories,
had to do is do a takeover, and we'll just be like, "Hey, we're here. You tell us what we're talking about."
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's enough things I can think of that we didn't cover, I know there's a lot. So yeah, we'll have to do it again.
Oh, I'm sure. It's not like you're not constantly out doing something. So,
Yeah, I try to keep life interesting, my gypsy ways. So
well, it works. So, again, thank you for your time. It's been fun. We'll definitely do it again soon. And for everybody out there listening, follow along with Steph's story. Check them out. Do what you guys do and give them some support, especially if we're able to really give them that support soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And until then, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.